Welcome to My ESAT's SAT Essentials video series. This is a 10-hour video, personally paced SAT program that's designed to provide quality SAT preparation to all students. The series is split evenly between the three sections of the SAT: math, writing, and critical reading. The lectures cover effective SAT test-taking strategies, review frequently tested topics, and provide practice problems that familiarize and prepare students for the real exam. The SAT Essentials video course is the foundation for all My ESAT courses and is used in conjunction with live My ESAT workshops. At My ESAT, our mission is to pave the way for brighter futures empowered by education for all students.
Hi, welcome to the second writing lecture. Today is the day that you've been waiting for, the first day of the rest of your life. 'Cause it's essay time. I actually get really pumped when I talk about the SAT essay. Yeah, Jersey Shore fist pumping pounds. And it's not because I'm a nerd. It's because there are defined and definite strategies that are 100% effective for tangoing with the SAT essay. Today, we're going to break down the basics of what you need to know to succeed. We're going to go over what graders look for, and also, I'm going to give you a minute-by-minute, sentence-by-sentence breakdown of how to write a great essay. You can think of me as your football coach, because I'm going to give you a play-by-play direction. And warning to all you English teachers who might be watching this, you may cringe a little bit, but probably just on the inside, where your soul is, and where it hurts the most. Because the SAT approach to writing essays is on the formulaic side. But you know what? We teach the structure because it's clear, it's organized, it's easy to learn, and most importantly, it always works. Okay, so enough build up, because it's time to set it off. You remember Kenji, right? He's the dude with perfect hair and great useful signs. The team is back and we're going to get through all this material. Today's lecture is so important that you're going to want to take notes. So if you don't have your pencil and notebook ready, hit pause now and go grab them. Batman can't solve crime without his gadgets, and you sure can't take notes without your pencil. Okay, got them? Ready? Let's go! On the agenda today, we just have one main thing, the essay. Okay, so today is all about the essay. We're going to meet the essay, and we're going to go over My ESAT's essay formula for success. Kenji here is just reminding you that as we go through this material, feel free to pace the lecture to your own personal speed. That means, are we going too fast? You can hit the pause button. Are we going too slow? You know what to do with that rewind button. Okay, so we're going to dive in now. Let's go ahead and meet the essay. So as you sit down to write the essay, I would imagine you have a ton of questions. The whole process in the grading may seem as confusing to you as Paris Hilton's scene career. But today, we're going to do our best to clear that up for you. The essay, I mean, not the scene career. You may have heard about the essay from your friends, or maybe you've even written a few practice essays yourself. Either way, I think you'll know that the essay is a scary part of the SAT. Which actually, is kind of silly, because essay is also one of the parts of the SAT where practice can really help. The right amount of practice can make a huge difference in your essay score. If you practice, you will get better. It's as simple as that. And that's a promise. Well, first of all, how does it all work? Here's how. The essay will always be the first thing you do when you sit down to take the test. It's the first section, after all. You will be given one topic to write on, just one. Although you have no idea what the prompt is going in beforehand, you do know that it's always going to be a very general and very broad prompt. The prompt will ask you to pick between two sides of an argument and defend your stance. You will be given 2 line pages to write your essay on, so that means your essay can only be 2 pages long at most. You, however, should aim to write at least 1.5 pages. And I hope you guys are taking notes, because I want you to remember that you definitely want to get as close as you can to filling up the whole 2 pages. And your next question might be, so how important is the essay? The answer? The essay is significant. For example, if the writing section were the Jonas Brothers, the essay would be like Nick Jonas. It's 1/3 of your total writing score, and it's the third that does all the writing. That means that 260 points of your score are dedicated solely to your essay. 260 points is kind of a big deal, so it's not something you can blow off and hope that other parts of your exam can carry you. Just like you can't have a pop boy band with only 2 brothers, you also can't do well in the writing section if you don't invest in your essay. So yes, the essay is important, and it's important for every test taker to hone their essay skills. And how is essay scored? And how is it fair? How do you know graders are going to give you the score that you really deserve? Well, simmer down, because they do have a pretty fair system in place. The SAT essay is scored out of a total of 12 points. You get 2 different readers, who will each give you a score from 1 through 6. The 2 scores are then added together in order to get your final essay score. If the 2 readers give you a score that is more than 1 point off, the essay then goes to a 3rd reader. And who's reading your essays? Well, the SAT readers have to have a good amount of experience teaching and grading writing. So, therefore, they're primarily high school and college English teachers, a lot like maybe your English teacher. These English teachers then go through a ton of training to become approved to be an SAT reader. They only get approved after they can correctly grade a significant number of essays. Although, yes, people are people, and of course, there is some room for human variance. But the criteria for scoring is so tightly defined that it's actually very unlikely that your essay score would have been more than a point different had you gotten different readers. Here's an SAT fun fact. On average, a reader will spend only 3 minutes reading your essay before scoring you. 3 minutes! That's shorter than your average music video. So next time when you're humming along to Drake's newest single, think about how short 3 minutes really is. And then think to yourself, readers are not spending a lot of time reading your essay. That's why it's even more important to wow them clearly and quickly. Here's another question. Can colleges see the actual essay that you wrote on test day? And what about the hilarious cartoon you also drew in the corner? Well, you might want to hold off on the doodles, because yes, by golly, they sure can. Your essay is going to be scanned into College Board's database. And then, every school you submit your scores to is going to be able to view and download your essay if they want to. Whether or not colleges choose to use this, or how much they use it, is completely up to them, and it can vary from college to college. But it's valuable to note to yourself, you might want to hold off on lettering "I hate school" in the margin, or stenciling Mrs. Efron surrounded by a row of hearts. The next question you might have burning in your head is, how long do I have to write this essay? Well, I have some good news and some bad news for you. The bad news is that you only have 25 minutes to write a whole essay, so that means you're going to be pressed for time. The good news? Well, the good news is that you only have 25 minutes to write a whole essay, so graders aren't looking for anything near perfect. They know that you and everyone else sitting next to you will be lucky to squeeze out a decent first draft at best. And because of that, you can get away with a few errors and even some sloppiness that you probably couldn't get away with had you been given more time. So yes, that's right, you aren't looking to battle down Shakespeare. Instead, maybe just showing down the scared-looking kid sitting across from you is good enough. Okay, and the last question we're going to go over right now is, what exactly are you going to be graded on? Luckily, the criteria for what a grader is looking for is very clearly defined. I mean, they train the graders to look for certain things, right? So we already know what every grader is going to be looking for. There are 4 main things that they're going to be looking for, and we're going to go over them right now. I hope you guys are taking notes here. This is pretty important stuff. Okay, so the first thing is essay structure. Graders want to know if you can organize all your ideas into the conventional essay structure. Can you write an organized essay? Organization is so important on the SAT that it's more critical than ER patients. When readers have only 3 minutes on average to read your essay, essay structure is the first and most immediate thing that they notice. Before readers have time to get all comfy and cozy with the nitty-gritty of your deep analysis. It's really your essay organization that will jump out and smack them in the face. Therefore, it's super important for your essay to be well organized in order to earn a top score. The second thing that they're looking for is the number and depth of your examples. So this means, how many examples do you have, and how well written are your examples? Okay, so I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Yes, there are magic numbers. For the SAT, you should have 2 or 3 examples in your essay. 2 and 3 are just the magic numbers here. It's like Goldilocks trying all these different things. 2 to 3 are just the perfect balance. Any less, and readers start wondering if you have trouble coming up with any ideas. And any more, and each example gets less developed because you just run out of time. The third thing that graders are looking for is sentence variety and structure. So this is the way you express yourself, what kind of words you use, and how complex and varied your sentences are. So kind of like how rappers front with their bling, readers want to see your style and swagger through your sentence flow and variety. Think of throwing sexy vocab words and complex sentences as literary bling. You should dazzle your readers with how sophisticated, intelligent, and well-versed you can sound. The last thing that readers are looking for is grammar. Good grammar shows that you are a master of the English language. Readers want to know that you know how to write properly. So take control of your language and make sure your essay always obeys proper grammar. So those are the 4 things that graders are looking for, and I hope you wrote them down. The first one is essay structure. The second is the number and depth of your example. And remember, you want 2 or 3. Third is sentence variety and structure. And lastly, fourth is grammar. All of these 4 things are important, and with practice, I know you can ace all 4 of them. Alright, so now it's time for what you've all been waiting for, the MyESAT essay formula. I'll go over step by step what you should do for each sentence and paragraph. And here's a secret. SAT readers are a little bit like Taylor Swift. They know exactly what they're looking for, and they are just waiting for the perfect essay to come sweep them off their feet. Let's start at the beginning, the prompt. You might think that there are more different types of prompts than there are vampire movies. However, that's not true. There are definitely more vampire movies. And although prompts may be different, all prompts are going to be very broad and general. Therefore, your practice is going to come in handy because you're going to be able to adapt all the practice and examples that you've prepared directly to your real prompt on test day. So yes, there are a lot of different prompts out there, and you don't know what you're going to get on test day. But you do know the examples and practice that you've prepared beforehand are definitely going to help you no matter what prompt you do get. So tell me the truth. What side of the prompt should you pick? Well, look, the truth is this. Graders don't care what side you pick. They don't care at all. There really is no secretly better side to pick. Don't pull a Luke Skywalker and waste time biting your nails threading between the 2 different sides. Instead, pick a side and commit to it. The first thing you want to do as soon as the proctor says go is read the prompt. As soon as you've read the prompt, stop. Don't jump into your essay right away. Restrain yourself. This is where a little cool planning is going to really go a long way. Take a calm and collected 2 to 3 minutes to brainstorm. You're going to be like James Bond here, thinking fast and sharp like a ninja, but staying cool as a cucumber. In these 2 to 3 minutes, you are going to 1. Pick a side, and 2. Come up with 2 to 3 examples to back up your side. This is your brainstorming time, so feel free to use your test booklet as your personal whiteboard. You can scribble, scratch, or draw your brainstorming ideas all over it. Nobody is going to see your test booklet, so please use it. Brainstorming is going to help you organize your essay as you start writing it. You now have a good idea what side you want to be on, and you also know which examples you're going to talk about. After you're done brainstorming, take a quick deep breath and stretch your writing hand because now you're going to get down and dirty. Okay, so let's take a look at this prompt. It reads, think carefully about the issue presented in the following excerpt and the assignment below. Something flawed is far more interesting than something perfect. Perfection is a trifle dull. It is not the least of life's ironies that this, which we have aimed at, is better not quite achieved. Now I'm going to give you a minute to brainstorm. Think about what position you would take on this prompt and what examples you might use. Time's up. So what did you come up with? Well, here's some sample brainstorming notes that I came up with. I want to take the stance that imperfections make life meaningful. I could have easily gone the other way and said that the pursuit of perfection is a worthy cause. However, it was easier for me to think of examples from this side. So that's why I chose this stance. For my examples, I chose the paintings of the artist Chuck Close, the book The Beach by Alex Garland, and Arabesque design. So this is an example of what your brainstorming notes should always look like. Now, let's take a look at our formula for introductory paragraphs. The first thing you're going to write is your introduction paragraph. Who would have guessed? So now is the time for you at home to put down your Hot Pocket or whatever you're eating, because you need to take notes here. Here's the standard structure for an introduction. Your introduction paragraph should be 1 to 3 sentences long. There is no need to go longer than that. Please save your time and your ideas for your body paragraphs, not your introduction. The first sentence in your introduction is your opening statement. The opening statement is a sentence that kind of opens up your essay and broaches on the topic of the essay. I personally like to open up with a restatement of the prompt because that's something that's really easy to do really quickly. But you can also share a brief story or insert a relevant quote. It's completely up to you. But whatever you do, don't overthink this first sentence. The purpose is just to introduce the topic somehow. So think like Kirstie Alley in a Krispy Kreme. Don't think too much, just strike. Next comes your thesis sentence. This is the most important sentence in your entire essay because it sums up what you're going to be talking about for the rest of your essay. In fact, every single body paragraph is going to restate or tie back to this one sentence. So obviously this is a very important sentence. And it's the foundation of the entire essay. So now that you've heard the formula for the introduction paragraph, try to picture how you would use the formula to write an introduction paragraph for this prompt. If you need a little bit more time, remember you can always hit that pause button. It's so handy, isn't it? But otherwise, for the rest of you, I'm going to go over a sample intro that I would have written. This is so you can get a good idea of how you would use this formula. Okay, so I wrote, perfection in life and art is an illusion, one that is often, but should not be, sought after. It is the imperfections that make life and art worth living for. We can see this principle illustrated in the paintings of Chuck Close, the book The Beach by Alex Garland, and Arabesque design. Okay, so you can see how I followed the essay formula to the T. The first sentence where it says, perfection in life and art is an illusion. etc., etc. Well, that sentence is just me not thinking too much. I'm just quickly writing something that opens up the topic. The next two sentences are my thesis. So the rule is your thesis can be 1 or 2 sentences long, but never longer than that. Also, something to note about this introduction is that there's nothing fancy here. The introduction is really just something that's quick and dirty and gets the job done. Now it's time to move on to the good stuff. The body paragraphs. Each body paragraph should be 46 sentences long and should spotlight on one example and one example only. Do not fall into the temptation to describe 2 or more examples in one paragraph. This is important because we are following a standard conventional organization, remember? But what about being unique and developing your own personal writing style? Well, we're all for that and we think that's great. But the truth is, it's just not the safest play for the SAT. Why? Remember, readers only spend 3 minutes on your essay. That means they don't have time to fumble around, scouting around for your examples. Instead, when you use a standard structure, you're making your essay super obvious. You are indeed red flagging all your examples and packaging it neatly on a silver platter so that even the groggiest English teacher can instantly locate your thesis and all your examples immediately. So back to the formula. The first sentence of your body paragraph is going to be the topic sentence. This sentence does exactly what you think it does. It summarizes the topic of the paragraph. Next, you want to tell the reader some facts about your example. Be as detailed as possible here. That means you want to cite authors, you want to cite names, places, events. Be specific and add detail. They love that. And you should do it all within a couple of sentences. The next 2 to 3 sentences are going to be your commentary. Your commentary is kind of like your take on the situation. So what are your thoughts or insights about the facts you just gave? You want to always make a point using your example and tie it back into the thesis, which is your main argument, right? You could think of it as using this commentary to restate your thesis and kind of show how this example supports your thesis. Right now, I'll give you a couple minutes so you can think about what you would write for your first body paragraph. I want you to really try to follow the formula to a T. So I do want you to come up with that topic sentence, then I want you to give your example, first by giving straight up facts, and then by giving your take on the situation. And don't forget to always tie your example back to the thesis. Alright, good luck guys. Pull out those notebooks and jot away. Alright, so I know you guys are done with your own personal masterpieces, but let me show you what I came up with. This is my sample first body paragraph. And I'll read it for you right now. It reads, Chuck Close, a photorealist painter, proves that beauty lies in the flaws of the human appearance. Close's enormous portraits are extremely precise and true to life. He pays close attention to the details of their wrinkles and scars, imbuing the portraits with a sense of character, emotion, and vitality, which would be lost in an idealized face. Unlike modern photography with its airbrushing, Close does not attempt to hide the flaws of his subjects by making them look younger. Instead, he celebrates their flaws, and by doing so, empowers his subjects and viewers alike to embrace their own flaws. By examining flaws on such a magnified level, we are able to find the beauty in imperfections. Kind of a mouthful, right? Well, I'm going to break it down for you. Let's take a closer look at this paragraph. The first sentence is the topic sentence. It reads, Chuck Close, a photorealist painter, proves that beauty lies in the flaws of the human appearance. Okay, so in this first topic sentence, I'm just broaching the subject. I'm just laying it out there. So now you know I'm going to spend the rest of the paragraph talking about Chuck Close and his work. Let's take a look at the next couple sentences. You can see that most of it is highlighted in yellow. All the parts highlighted in yellow represents the straight-up facts. So the facts are, Close's enormous portraits are extremely precise and true to life. That's just a fact. Also, he pays close attention to the details of their wrinkles and scars. That's also just a fact. Next comes the blue part. All portions highlighted in blue represents your commentary. So that means it's your take on the situation. Let's read it together now. Imbuing the portraits with a sense of character, emotion, and vitality which would be lost in an idealized face. Okay, so that's my opinion, right? I believe that Close's work imbues portraits with a sense of character. That's kind of like my take. It's not a fact. So now you can kind of see the difference between a fact and a commentary. The next part of the sentence is yellow again, which means it is straight up fact. Let's read it together. Unlike modern photography with its airbrushing, Close does not attempt to hide the flaws of his subjects by making them look younger. Okay, so that is just a straight up fact. You can see that this is something that Close just does not do. And now the remainder of the sentence is all commentary. It reads, Instead, he celebrates their flaws and by doing so, empowers his subjects and viewers alike to embrace their own flaws. By examining flaws on such a magnified level, we are able to find the beauty in imperfections. Okay, great. So all of that was my own commentary. It was my take on the situation. And notice, I am definitely always careful to tie the example back to the thesis. My thesis says that it is the imperfections that make life and art worth living for. So again, in this paragraph, I kind of repeat my thesis by saying, yes, in Close's work, it is indeed in the flaws that we are able to find the beauty. Before we move on to the next paragraph, I want you to quickly note that the ratio of fact to commentary is roughly 1:1. Do you see that? You have roughly the same amount of yellow as you have blue. That is the golden ratio, and it's something you want to keep. So jot this down. The golden ratio of fact to commentary is 1:1. Also, jot this down. You always use your commentary to relate your example back to your thesis. Now let's move on to the second body paragraph. The formula on the screen should look really familiar to you because it's the exact same one as the first body paragraph. Basically, you're going to do the whole thing all over again with a new example. Now, why don't you take a minute or two to really think about what you would write for your second body paragraph? Okay guys, so this is my sample second body paragraph. I wrote, in his book, The Beach, Alex Garland demonstrates the inveterate dullness of perfection. In the book, a group of travelers set forth to create a utopian society set away from the world on an island in the Gulf of Thailand. The travelers started to create problems to fix because they couldn't stand the idle state of perfection. Though at first their community seems to have found paradise, it was in achieving the ultimate goal of perfection that eventually drove them insane. Once you have achieved perfection, what else is there to strive for? The downfall of their community would be directly attributed to their lack of flaws. Though perfection is nice in theory, in practice, it doesn't work. Okay, so once again, we're going to break that down. The first sentence is clearly our topic sentence. It's kind of where I introduce my example and I open up the paragraph. From then on, I have a pretty one-to-one ratio of facts and commentary. And I was definitely careful to use my commentary to really make sure I tied the example back to my thesis. Do you see how I did that? Let's read the last 3 sentences again. So that's the blue part on the bottom. Once you have achieved perfection, what else is there to strive for? The downfall of their community could be directly attributed to their lack of flaws. Though perfection is nice in theory, in practice, it doesn't work. So you can see how I really use this commentary to tie back into my thesis. My thesis is that it's the imperfections that make life and art worth living for. And that's a wrap for this paragraph. We're going to move on to the third body paragraph. I'm not even going to show you the formula this time because the third body paragraph formula is the same as the first and second. The only difference is I'm going to show you how to write a body paragraph if you're running out of time, which if you're on your third body paragraph, you probably are. Okay, so let's read this together. Arabesque design, an intricate work of patterning, achieves its most interesting beauty with its flaws. It was the belief of artisans that only God could be perfect, so they included one imbalance in their otherwise perfectly balanced patterning. It is this flaw which entices both the mind and the intellect. Okay, so you see, this body paragraph is only 3 sentences long, and yet it has all the elements that we're looking for. The first sentence introduces Arabesque design. It opens up the topic. The second sentence is just straight up fact. I'm just saying, well, it's the belief of artisans that only God could be perfect. So they included one imbalance with their perfect work. Okay, so that is just facts. I'm just telling you what's going on. Lastly, the last sentence is commentary. This is where I say, it's the flaw which entices both the mind and the intellect. You see how that's my opinion, that's my take. And it's also a great tie back to my thesis. So you see, this is kind of a lean and mean body paragraph. If you're running out of time, this is how you can have a great body paragraph without spending too much time. And that brings us to our conclusion paragraph. Your conclusion paragraph is going to be super short. It's only 1 to 2 sentences. There's no need to make it any longer than that because you've already argued your point in your body paragraphs. Besides, you're probably just about out of time by now. The first sentence is where you're going to restate your thesis yet again. You want to repackage, respin, and reword your thesis, maybe present it in a different light. And then if you're really out of time, this might be the only sentence you have in your conclusion. But if you have an extra few seconds, why not wrap your essay in a pretty little bow before you send it off to the readers? This second part of the conclusion is called the Miss America statement. That's because this sentence is a feel-good and uplifting statement that kind of ties your essay in a pretty little bow. And why do you need this? Well, because this is the last sentence readers are going to read before they grade you, so why not send them off in a happy mood? Now let's take a look at my sample conclusion. In conclusion, though humans are constantly striving for perfection, it is the process of getting there that is more interesting. Beauty lies in the struggle, heartbreak, and sacrifice, not in idleness. Did you like the Miss America statement at the end? It kind of leaves you in a positive, uplifted mood, doesn't it? And that's the mood graders are going to be in as they grade your essay. You know the importance of always being prepared. That's the Boy Scout motto, be prepared. This applies to all areas of your life, including the SAT essay. Scout's honor. 80% of the work you do for the essay should be done before test day. Most of the work you do is done in preparation. Only 20% of the work is actually the work you actually do on test day. So, besides practicing the essay structure, what else do you need to do to prepare? Well, I'm glad you asked, because it's very important that you develop a good bank of examples. This bank of examples is your secret weapon stash. Yeah, you like that. That you get to pull out and use on test day. Sweet. Unfortunately, katanas and other weapons aren't allowed in the test room. But your bank of examples, you're going to hide those in your head. I want you to spend a few minutes with me right now to come up with a stellar examples list of your own. If you had to write an essay today, what examples would you use? Okay, so get your notebooks ready. First, let's brainstorm literature examples. These are the books and novels that you're going to stash into your mental bank of examples. Okay, so this is what my bank of example would look like. I have Pride and Prejudice, Great Expectations, Hamlet, and 1984. You might have noticed that these are all really high-quality books. The best books to use are the books that you read in English class. You want to be picking well-respected examples. That means no Twilight, right? And no Harry Potter. Now it's your turn. I'll give you a couple minutes. Why don't you jot down 4 books that you would use on your example list? On the SAT, literature examples are considered the safest and probably the best kind of examples to use. In fact, we always recommend our students try to use 1 literature example in every essay. So why are they the best? Well, they're safe, yes. They tend to be scholarly, yes. Any other reasons? Well, I'm glad you asked. SAT fun fact, the typical essay grader is in fact an English teacher, much like the one at your high school. So they sure love themselves a good literature example. Okay, so now onward to history examples. For history examples, try to use stuff that you learned in history class. For example, you might use the Civil War, Rosa Parks, or the Journeys of Amelia Earhart. I'll give you another minute to jot down 3 of these. Next up is current events. So these are things that you're going to see in the news, like CNN or Fox. For example, one great current event might be the passing of Obama's healthcare bill. What current events would you use? I'll give you another minute to jot down 3. And lastly, there's one more category, and that's kind of just the hodgepodge category where I grouped everything together. This is the group where you can write about anything, like technology, arts, sports, or personal experiences. Try to stick to things that you learned in school, or personal experiences that you'd kind of brag about to your school principal. So basically only scholarly and respectable things here. For example, I might talk about the varsity track team or my experience volunteering at the Red Cross. Now I'll give you another minute to come up with 4 of these. Okay, so now you're going to take that great list you just wrote and you're going to save it. After class is over, part of your homework is that I want you to research and prepare each of the examples you just wrote down. So that means you're really going to learn everything there is to know about your example. You're going to memorize all the relevant facts. The who, what, where, when, and why. Okay, so for novels, you want to definitely know the author. You want to know the main character names, and also some of the specific details of the events of the book. Creating and researching a great list is one of the most important things you can do for your SAT essay. Wow! I know that lecture was jam-packed of information. We gave you the nitty and gritty of the SAT essay all at once. And now it's all about the practice, and then the more practice, and then the more practice. Students who don't give up always improve their score. That's my guarantee to you. We'll work with you individually and give you feedback on your essays in our focus workshops titled Essay Keys. I'll see you right back here before you know it for our 3rd and last writing video. Okay guys, so here's the next bit of homework I have for you. After you have finished watching all of the second lectures for all 3 subjects, it's time for you to take another practice SAT test. From Official SAT Study Guide by College Board, take Practice Test 3. For the sake of this practice test, you may bring the example list with you. Obviously, you won't be able to bring your list in with you on test day, but practicing with the list can certainly help you drill those examples in your head. Okay, so good luck kids, and I hope to work with you more. And remember, A sharply organized essay with well-rehearsed examples stands out more from the pack than a meat dress at the VMAs.